I'd like to call to order the Rapid City Area School Study Session for tonight. Did I hear some feedback? Okay, it's been rectified. All right. Maddie, we'll have a roll call, please.
Troy Carr.
Here.
Jamie Clapham.
Here.
Katie Urban.
Here.
Donna Moore.
Here.
Walt Swan.
Here.
Angela Rafferty, absent with notice. Christine Stephenson.
Here.
I'll invite everyone, thank you. I'll invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Did not receive any open forum request, and so there's no board response. At this time, right into the meat of the matter. Items for board information. All right, Ms. Veit.
Good evening, board members. Tonight, I am honored to recognize and introduce our Rapid City Area Schools Lakota language teachers who will be presenting the pacing guide presentation that they have established within their classrooms. These pacing guides provide a structured plan for curriculum delivery, ensuring that all required content is taught effectively and efficiently throughout the school year, while supporting consistency in student learning across grade levels. Please join me in welcoming our Rapid City Area Schools Lakota language teachers. I'm going to call on the entire team just so you can see and recognize our teamwork, and then I'll call on those who will be doing the presentation. We have Colette Medicine from Knollwood, who is not here tonight. We have Maverick Greyhorse from General Beetle, who also is not here. Morgan Flores from General Beetle, Sequoia Crosswhite from South Park Elementary, Richard Black Elk from North Middle School, Jeremiah Moreno from Central High School, and then we also have Miss Marie Heiber, who is our OSCU district-wide teacher. We appreciate their dedication to preserving and teaching the Lakota language and culture to our students. Now I'll be calling upon Sequoia and Miss Marie, who will be delivering the presentation for the team.
Amatakiapi, Owaya Okichiapi. Hello, school board. A little nervous here, guys. It's crazy. I've never been nervous like this. I do this all the time, but I'm nervous today. My name is Sequoia Crosswhite. I've been a Lakota language teacher in the district for the last 5 years. 14 years before that, I served as a cultural relations advisor at Children's Home Society, and it's definitely an honor and a blessing to be here with you guys tonight. To present the pacing guide, we call our group the Lakota Language Warriors. To understand that in a classroom, particularly what I like to teach is 2 terms for all human beings. All human beings are native from some geological area in this world, and we are all scientifically direct descendants of some tribes. So those terms could be used for all human beings, just to say that. And to incorporate the language and the culture, I put together some statistics with it. Children exposed to other languages in education experience high success rates in cognitive and social development, with over 90% of studies indicating positive impacts on academic areas like math and literacy. Early exposure from 0 to 3 leverages brain flexibility, making acquisitions natural. This was a study done by the Michigan State University. Multiple Arizona school districts serving Native American studies have heavily supported cultural and language-based curricula, reported significant gains in math and English proficiency in 2025, Examples include Ganado Unified, 159% increase. Red Mesa Unified, 149% increase. And Bobo Quavari Unified, 197 increase in math and literacy. What does that say? That says that incorporating the culture, the language, gives these kids an opportunity to feel safe. They feel identified, right? When you're thinking about going on, taking some of these tests, what a lot of our kids been doing, my son's getting ready to take exams to be a senior and graduate. Where do you want to be at when you go there? Do you want to be panicked? Do you want to feel like you're accepted? Do you want to feel safe? That's the point of learning, right? Research shows also 5 or more years of strong Indigenous language and instruction is associated with higher academic success and 2% higher probability in scoring an A or B grades. Integrating Native American culture into the curriculum creates a sense of belonging and safety for Indigenous students, addressing a history of exclusion and fostering pride in their identity. Culturally relevant education includes local tribal history and language, improves engagements, reduces marginalization, and helps prevent misconceptions. Also within that, incorporating Native American culture, I also try to incorporate all other cultures because, again, we're all native from somewhere and we're all descendants of tribes. So throughout the lesson plans, try to incorporate because Lakota culture really looks at the worldview from that perspective. Value of cultural-based education. Have a higher social, emotional well-being and report higher levels of trusting relationships with adults. Experience a deeper belonging at school, demonstrate enhanced motivation, self-esteem, and a sense of pride. Who we serve in a building? Our team is called the Lakota Language Warriors and consists of elementary, middle school, and high school. All Wakaisha, all the children in the RCAS are included in these classrooms. Teachers, administration, all staff, the people, estimated 4,000 Oceti Sakowin students and their families in the RCAS district. Complete pacing guides that show the plan for what our students will learn and when the means we will organize lessons over time. All important topics will be taught during the school year.
And looking at the pacing guide, we have units across the year. Myself, I'm an Oceti Sakowin Central Understandings teacher district-wide, so I serve 22 schools, but our Lakota language teachers, they will be following this pacing guide, whereas myself, I follow all pacing guides and integrating the OSEUs and aligning those standards to those standards. So for the units across the year, we have Unit 1, Identity and Kinship, which is very, very important in starting that at the beginning of the school year so that students can start talking about themselves, getting to know one another, and seeing how important those relationships are and building positive relationships. We also have Unit 2, Land and Stories. This is very important. Storytelling is a way of teaching, it's a way of life. And we learn through storytelling a lot of the lessons. And in that is the inclusion of the Lakota language. Our language was never a written language. It was orally spoken. You observed, you listened, and it's such a teaching and skill that many of us can still master and try to master. We also have Unit 3, Daily Life and Community. This is important to see how we use the language, how we use the culture, and embedding that into our daily lives, how we make those relationships. But not only that, our students are also teachers themselves. Even being in the classroom, they're able to see, speak, and observe, learning from each other. We have non-Native students and Native American students that are learning and immersing in the language. I've observed myself in the classrooms, and it's such an amazing sight to see. They're so eager to learn. Unit 4, Leadership, History, and Continuity. Being a leader, how do you do that? Being proud of who you are, being an example, leading with the language, not being afraid. When we learn all different languages, it's different. It's not all the same, but to see how that works in the classroom and the relationships formed with the language is very, very valuable. So learning about the history of the language and how even the loss of language and where we're at today is really, really important for students to be able to understand. And then continuing that language forward. Our students are the generations that will carry this language onto the very next generation. So we very much want to keep this alive. Unit 5, Mitaku Yepi, who I am. This is, that term that I even grew up listening. My relatives here tonight also grew up listening to this word. We are all relatives. We're all related. So that's important to have that foundation of knowing that kinship and relationships are very, very important. Our kids, they have a sense of identity when they're speaking the language. I myself, even as an adult, feel that same way, deeply connected, deeply rooted. And that's very, very meaningful, especially today in the work that I do, that my colleagues do as well. We have Unit 6, Animals and Winter Stories. This is important. Animals are two-legged, four-legged, eight-legged friends. They all have a purpose. We think about the world around us and the environment, and everything is so valuable and important. And we have to see those connections that we have with the world around us. And then those stories, being able to share those stories, our solstices, our equinoxes. We have all these stories that share a history, but also that special time of the year when we're changing and when we're growing in different directions every year. Unit 7, our classroom helpers. This is important for students. They get to be those ones in the classroom that get to help build on what they are learning. Those group discussions, being able to speak in Lakota with one another in groups, have a conversation. I listened to our high school students in Shicheshi Jeremiah's classroom, and it's amazing to listen to them share their introductions with one another and so confidently. It's very, very beautiful to see. They are helpers in their own way and being teachers themselves. Unit 8, Seasons and Plants. This is important. We talk about Mother Earth. We also talk about Unshimaka, Grandmother Earth, how all those connections around us are important. I have to say everything comes full circle in everything that involves our culture, our heritage, our traditions, our Lakota language. It's a holistic approach, and that's where also the OSEUs come into place here. So I do want to share our culture, language, history, and traditions. So important. It goes hand in hand. You can't have the language without the culture and the heritage and the traditions. It's not like you're memorizing words. They have meaning. They have stories. It's a lived experience. It's a way of life. It's a way of who we are. And that's so valuable. It's a holistic approach, mind, body, spirit. This is a part of us. It's a circle of life that is a part of the person, keeping them connected. I know even with the OSU Drive, we have OSU lessons that are aligned with various subjects. That includes social studies, literacy, even some math. We also do anatomy, chemistry. We have so many different alignments of topics and core curriculums that can fit this. And we have to have the OSEUs aligned with the Lakota language pacing guide, because the language and the culture, it definitely goes hand in hand with one another. This is an example of a pacing guide that we formulated last year for elementary social studies. So this is a team, my team of OSU leads and I put this together, and we aligned the OSEUs from the drive. And so we're able to click on links. Teachers are able to access them quickly because there are over 1,000 different lessons, K through 12, and different topics, and even by the standard, where you can view the lessons. So this makes it easier and quicker for teachers to be able to access those and see how it is aligned to which standard they're meeting in their classroom.
Did you write the lessons, or are these the state OSEU lessons?
So the state has people from various schools that will create lessons, and they do share those. What is in the OSU Drive, most of it is created by our very own teachers, OSU leads, and myself. So it's a very, very huge drive of lessons, a lot of hard work. So yeah. And a lot of our Lakota language teachers, they add a lot of this material in there and embed it. So they have brought this to fruition as well. It's not an I or a me, it's all of us doing this together, including teachers that are native and non-native. So working together to create these lessons. So this will be sort of that format that we'll follow for the OSU alignment with the Lakota language pacing guide. Yes, Walt? Hi. Great question. So the OSU Drive, only Rapid City Area School District teachers have access to this drive. It's not something that is on a website that you can find it. A lot of these lessons that were created, it also includes a lot of material that come from our cultural knowledge bearers and also a lot of our elders that have, you know, given us the material to be able to use. So a lot of times it's for that protection of those lessons that are created. And we do have RCAS on that as well. So we want to make sure that nothing is being distributed and it's wrong information. So we want to make sure that it's safe at the same time, but we never know what the future can hold. Maybe it'll be accessible someday. So great question though, Walt. Okay. You wanna share this one? Okay, so here's an example. Seasons and plants. This is a driving question. How do us as Lakota people traditionally use plants for food, medicine, and ceremony, and why are they important to protect? So having that question of, you know, that why, and then having those anchors. So this is one fine example of a link that's also included from the OSU Drive Plants, Foods, and Herbs link. This includes Linda Black Elk's you know, she worked with a lot of elders that provided her with information about all the indigenous plants here in South Dakota and across the plains. So it's quite a guide that we use a lot. So the students would be able to use that as an anchor to look at. Scaffolding strategy, displaying posters of plants and herbs. Students can observe and identify them and then analyze the language and practice building it together using it independently. So using the Lakota language, but also using your senses. You're learning about the plant, but you can taste plants. Hi, Colette. You can do all of these things with plants and with the language. So you're enriching it. Sometimes that land-based learning is the best type of learning in being outside and using your senses. That's really important. And then gradual release lesson sequence, I do show images or real plants, images of all the different types of indigenous plants. We like to inform students of what they look like, the Lakota word, and then also what ones are dangerous and what not to pick. And having someone that is around you that is well informed about different types of plants is pretty important. Students look at a model sentence or short paragraph and break it apart together, create a Lakota sentence frame together. So this is where they would actually use little tidbits of creating lessons using subjects, verbs, descriptive words, using colors, all of that, and immersing it into a sentence. Our language, it kind of seems backwards, okay, when you're speaking it, but putting that all together, it makes sense when you start to think about it. And I was always told, think Lakota first. And so in the real world, you have to think about things differently. But having that sense so that they can be able to describe even plants and different types of medicines like that, it'll be able to help them, encourage them to create those sentences. Students help create new sentences, songs, games, diagrams, etc. with teacher support. I know a lot of our Lakota language teachers, they use a lot of songs. It's amazing. I like to sing too. Mashke Morgan, she's singing in her classroom quite often, and we come from a group of singers. So that adds to it as well, learning the language through song. That's important. So 2 to 3 outcomes, use Lakota seasonal plant field guide where students create their own mini book of local plants with Lakota names, seasons, and uses. Students may include plants from the Black Hills area. And then this is where an actual field trip could happen. Some of our students actually do this. Some of our Jeremiah, has done this before in taking students out and being able to identify plants. Of course, he's using the language and immersing that in there as well. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this part over to Miss Colette Medicine.
All right, Diane Wachianke. So one thing, while working on this pacing guide, we wanted to work on that we're working on is more collaboration with Lakota teachers and community stakeholders to enrich student learning with access to the Star Dome, community events, or more support to create inclusion in Rapid City area schools. What we are striving for is our goal is to create more opportunities for Rapid City area schools or Chetty Shakwe students to learn, connect, and feel proud of their culture while strengthening relationships between the school district and community. So one thing that we wanted to do is collaborate more, have the opportunity to talk about what worked, what didn't work. Also with community events, you know, we had the horse camp this past weekend. And so that was a healing camp, and it really was a healing camp. And we wanted more collaboration with the schools. We're working on it slowly. A lot of us were present here and we're encouraging each other, supporting each other. And being here supports a lot. And so that's one thing we wanted to work. We are working on. Next thing. Any other questions? No? Okay.
So these are just some of the comments and expressions of our teachers that has had since they've been teaching in the district. Authenticity of teaching Lakota to K-5, making it fun and meaningful learning Lakota from Tui Colette. I am most proud of the Lakota Astronomy Project, says Lexi Moreno. Seeing students teaching and helping each other is rewarding. I have also seen students teaching their teachers. Being able to take what they learn and to apply it outside of the classroom is one of the things that makes me proud of them, like she Maverick Gray Horse from General Beetle. Proud of the students for learning Lakota Yapi, learning about their identity. Mr. Black Elk from North Middle School. I am proud of seeing my students use Lakota Yapi outside of the class and in school from Tui Morgan. I am proud of seeing my students learn and understand the Lakota philosophy of Mitakuye Oyase. We are all related. And Wo Lakota, the action of living in peace. Takichala, or love, it's the only thing that can conquer hate. From Mr. Crosswhite, South Park.
So while collaborating with the pacing guide throughout the school year, we talked about the needs of our students. And so we wanted to acknowledge that urban Native students have different needs than students living on the reservation. And so on the reservation, they have a community called Techa Wachipi Okola Kichya, which means they gather from those schools, from the reservation schools. I'm not sure how many there is, but their need is to, they have access to have Fridays off and meet at the different schools and host hand games and have powwows. So collaborating with them, we talked about how we have needs here. Well, we have different needs according to our we work Fridays. So something on having Saturdays and having access to, the different elementary schools, the high schools, and having our own Wachipis, our own hand game tournament on a weekend. So that way, from the healing camp, we know statistics said that there was not a lot of crime during that weekend. And so I think bringing that here, having our own thing would have the students involved into who they are, have more identity of who they are in the language. Established organizations such as Techa Wachipi Okola Kichya supports youth culture engagement, specifically hand games. The next school year, we are starting our cultural clubs within the Rapid City School District. Creating an urban cultural support space. So we want to explore the possibility of developing a school-supported cultural group or organization specifically for Native students in Rapid City area schools. This group could help organize student powwows, cultural learning events, and mentorship opportunities.
Student engagement success, cultural programming, field trips, and community events help improve student engagement, attendance, cultural identity and pride, academic success.
So the Lakota Language and Cultural Incorporation Rapid City Schools wish list. Supporting Lakota language and cultural programming. So field learning opportunities, visit culturally significant locations such as sacred sites, community events, and environmental learning spaces, Black Elk's Peak, Bear Butte, and the Badlands. Incorporate land-based learning, which is an important part of Indigenous education through plant walks and traditional harvesting. A lot of us teachers are doing that now, but access to the Black Hills, teaching about it, the students about where's the Chasapa, where's the Pahasapa, where's the Black Hills? And so they're like, kind of pointing. And so it's right here in our neighborhood. It's important that you guys know that, knowing the land that we're on and knowing the history of it and then the future of it. Community cultural events. Support the creation of additional powwow gatherings within the school and community to celebrate student learning, Lakota language, and cultural pride. When I just started at Knollwood in September, with a lot of parent support and admin support, I had a hand game tournament, or we got to go to LNI. And I thought it was a big deal because I went to school at Knollwood, I went to school at North, and I went to graduate at Central. And so back then we didn't have the opportunity to get excused and go over there. Well, now I'm glad that the students have that access and that support. And so with that support, it was that windstorm. Do you guys remember that? And so luckily I told my kids, have your parents take the day off because we're going no matter what. And so Dr. Gross called me, or she came in, are you going? I'm like, yeah, we're going. Our parents already have it off. We're going. And so we went, and we ended up winning the elementary division and championship. And so that was very prideful of, and I think a lot of Sijeshi Maverick and Sijeshi Jeremiah, a lot of us win the championships and hand games that are local. And so that's very cool because just being the good relatives we are, we kind of treat our relatives good, other schools, visitors. And so it's really awesome that we have that. And so, yeah, we have championships, and then Sijeshi has champions in our school district. And so they have like a red hoodie that they wear. So it's pretty awesome. Pretty proud of that. So. Okay. All right. So we thought it was very important to show you visuals of students, of what we have, of what we can, and our passion of showing Lakota, teaching Lakota language. And so up on the left, that's at Knollwood. And so we're shaving Chanshasha, which is you only do in the winter. And then that's one of the hand drums. Luckily, I'm next door to a music teacher, and carry them and treat them as their Lakota hand drums. So the boys are very respectful and remember the protocol that come with that. And this is the champions, Sijeshi Jeremiah at Central. They went to Huron, and they were champions on the hand games. And so they're wearing the moccasins and creating bapa, dried meat. On the bottom is the hand game champions as well. And that's Toshka actually killing the buffalo. And that's a whole ceremony in itself. These are big deals in our school district. And we want to show you visuals of how proud we are. Again, here's some in our classroom at South Park, General Beetle. And so this is something we love doing. It comes easy for us. And so they're hoop dancing on the bottom, in the middle part, working on probably winter counts. And that's Kevin Locke, who passed away like a year ago, that raised us in the school district.
Also like to express in the one corner there, these are 3 different schools because I've been at Canyon Lake and at South Park, and then there's one at Southwest there. But in the corner there is also, you can see with the OSCU standards, they had a science night, and I wanted to have a culture night, right? So then time was running out through the school semester. So how do we incorporate the culture and science? Well, it was simple, the power of water. And I had the kids take different rawhides, and they see how hard the rawhide is, right? As it dries out, it's hard, it's stiff. We used it as a shield, but you put it in the water and it becomes soft and pliable and usable. And so those are just the different activities that are along with the language and the culture that we get to experience. And the other thing I have to say that I love about it all, even though the faces are blocked out, you could see all multiple skin tones enjoying the time in the classroom there.
Here's at the PAC board, me and one of the hand game captains at Knollwood, showing the school board or the PAC about how to play hand games. And then this is another one just of the second graders that are showing, they're happy. They're very proud of doing hand drums, doing the protocol. And I don't think they have that exposure at home. They don't, like on the reservation, they have a lot of exposure, but in Rapid, kind of all they have. And so It's just something that's my classroom at Nolan. And in the bottom, it's them potato dancing, teaching social dances. I thought that was very important for them to learn, you know, to be a good relative. And
All right, to conclude our presentation, board members, you do have a one-page handout that identifies the pacing guide for Lakota language K to 12th grade here in Rapid City area schools. You can see that each unit is kind of broken out as a month and an example of our unit lessons and the standards that these lessons are anchored to. So with that, I want to thank our Lakota language teachers for coming tonight. And if you have any questions, they will be happily answer them for you.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Clapham.
Thank you so much. Combination comments and questions. One, I really appreciate this presentation. I did have a chance to come to the cultural night at Canyon Lake and went to the science presentation. It was really cool. I would love to see more and be there more. I think there's so many ways that the OSCUs tie into all the subjects. And so I'm so appreciative of this. I was just wondering, they talked about the land and stories. Has the Remembering the Children Memorial been used for like lessons this year? My son's at West, so I'm really like itching for him to learn. So I just wondered, because I got to see it early on, but I didn't know how much it's in use this year.
Yes, we actually have a folder that's dedicated to the Rapid City Indian Boarding School in our OSU drive. It's for all grade levels, at least from 3rd grade on up to 12th grade, but it is very, very easy access. I know Stevens and West also has been able to go over to the memorial site to see its progress and where it's at today. And then we also send out information about the memorial walk that they have, Remembering the Children, every year, and it's usually on Native American Day. And we do that in the morning, so we share that with the schools. And then also the lessons, we implement that into the history aspect as well, especially during different time periods for elementary, middle school, and high school, depending on where they're at within their pacing guides and their lesson plans. That is when that does get implemented in the school district. It's a huge one. I can say for sure that some of our high school students didn't know that there was a boarding school here. So I'm glad that they do get these lessons, and it's directly tied to, you know, the land and the history here. That's very, very important. So yeah, great question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Stephenson.
I thought I was late. Thank you, and thank you all for being here. It's really meaningful to see you and to hear about the work that you're doing. I have a couple of logistic questions, just because I don't think I've wrapped my mind around how OSCU are taught. Okay, so Lakota language, you all are at schools and you're teaching K to, or whatever. If you're in a middle school, you're teaching all the middle school students. If you're in a high school, you're teaching those who sign up for Lakota language. And if you're in an elementary school, you're teaching at that school all the grades. That's right. Okay.
Correct.
OSCUs are taught district-wide by you. Can you help me understand how those are taught?
No, they're taught district-wide by teachers within the school buildings. So we collect a lot of data on each one of the school buildings on how many lessons are implemented throughout the year and what are the most popular lessons that are being shared and the ones that haven't been shared yet. So we have OSCU leads in our school district. We have 15 of them. So they work within their school building to be a resource, a person that's available to help them get through the drive or find a lesson that aligns with their core curriculum that they're teaching. So this also comes from teachers with so much experience with the OSCUs that they know how to teach the lesson standalone. So they are comfortable and they've been doing it for years. So it's something that they do share. And then myself, I come into the classroom and I do teach K through 12, visiting all schools, teaching lessons on Lakota language, culture, heritage, and traditions, and aligning that with the core curriculum. But we also work with TLI and being able to align those lessons, having OSU leads a part of the team as well to be able to be on those subcommittees when they are finding which standards that they like the most. So, or not standards, but their curriculum that they like the most for their standards. So.
I am aware that you do teach quite a bit and I've heard so many good things. So just wanted to pass on that compliment to you for the lessons that you do district-wide. Really high praise from so many different people. Do the 15 OSEU leads travel and do the same thing you're doing, help teaching lessons in classrooms?
So some of them will teach lessons within their school building, but it really depends. So if they're a school teacher and they're teaching the entire day, they can implement a lesson that's aligned with their grade level that they're teaching in their classroom. But as far as other teachers, they're a teacher first. So during the day, oh yeah. So then I'm there. So I work
Okay.
with teachers. And so it's really nice because I will pull together teachers from grade levels, their PLC or a grade level. So like first grade, all at Pinedale, we schedule together for a whole year and we do it ahead of time so that it's aligned with their curriculum, their standards and what they're teaching throughout the year. So a lot of schools, we make that recommendation together. It seems to work easier for the teacher and myself, especially traveling the school.
And
district.
are you doing that kind of only if asked to do it? Like, well, Pinedale, they asked you to do it for whatever grade.
First come, first serve.
Okay.
I have a very busy schedule.
Mhm.
And I like working with the Lakota language teachers. They're my family, they're my team. So I really do, I need a piece of them with me too. We're all separated into different buildings. So that's a piece of, that I need within this school district as well. So I fit into a lot of categories, I guess, working with the OSEUs and trying to elevate it more and more each year.
Mhm.
So we're a small team though, but we do a lot. And I have to give a shout out to our teachers in the school district because none of this is possible without them. It's really not. Even our principals, they allow me to come in and I give an OSU presentation every year at the beginning of the school year. So our teachers have those resources and everything that they need to get started for the beginning of the school year.
I have another follow-up and I asked this without any data or preconceived notion in my head. I really don't know. Do you have any idea what percentage of like our elementary school teachers are doing OSEU lessons in their classrooms?
I don't have a percentage for all elementary, but I do have a percentage per building.
Okay.
So I can share that data with you though. We can have a meeting if you would like to go over that data.
Yeah,
It's a lot
would
of
you say-
data. It looks different for every school building. Yeah.
Okay. Varies like 25% to 75%
Yep.
in some schools. Okay.
Yes.
And then I've heard, sorry, Ms.
I want to add, you're asking about our OSEU
Yeah, yes.
lessons, and Marie won't toot her own horn. We do have one of the largest databases of lessons, Rapid City area schools. So Marie and the team have done a lot of work. So when she says 1,000 lessons, and you guys saw in the presentation how that is set up with a anchor statement, the I do, we do, you do. A lot of time and effort has been put into these lessons.
Yeah, no, I can tell, Ms. Hyber, that you don't want to toot your own horn, but I'm very impressed by what you put together and what all of you have put together. And I'm asking questions just because I would like to see the OSEUs taught more broadly in our district, because what a great thing to celebrate. We have access. I want my kids to learn about different cultures, and we have this culture here in town, and I'd like them to have more access to it.
Thank you for that.
And what are the barriers, or how can this board assist in, and I apologize for kind of not addressing the Lakota language and going straight to the OSEUs. I do have a question about Lakota language first, but what are the barriers for getting OSEU more implemented more broadly or taught more broadly?
I would have to say, just even looking at the data, we need it we have Native American students in all 22 schools.
Mhm.
And so it's very important to have for not only our Native American students, but our non-Native students as well. A fine example of that is being able to share some of these cultural teachings and being culturally aware as well. That's hugely
Mhm.
important, not only for teachers, staff, but also for our families. That's really important. But what becomes a barrier is the OSUs are not mandatory. They're not mandatory by the state. But I am grateful that I work with some principals that find a way to have teachers implement these lessons, or allowing me to bring in cultural knowledge bearers, presenters to come in and share with students. That's amazing. But we can do more, and I have really high expectations. And when I look at the data every year, I want to see more. When it's stagnant, then it's hard for me to see. And I know I'm a busy bee. And I feel good about that. That means that we're moving fast. We're not slow at all. But I know that we need this across the board, and not just in some schools, but all schools.
And also, can I add something? Just thinking about your question, I believe one thing would really help is like when you do new teacher orientation, having someone, you have all of us, we're employees of the school district, and we represent the school district, Lakota, really well. And so I feel, when you have new teacher orientation or sub or any trainings, I think that would be a good opportunity to take advantage of that and have any of us come in, and we'd love to help with that. Some things, they made it where they're appropriate. So yeah, any trainings for the staff would be good.
It's a good idea. One more follow-up, sorry, board. Is there any district in the state that as a district has mandated OSEU policy?
I know that we do have, or in the state, I know that Todd County School District does have a mandatory OSEU policy. So, and it's not even a long policy, it is straightforward, and they embed that in everything that they're teaching across the board. I would also highly recommend that for our district. Like I said, I have high expectations. So, but I think it's important. I mean, we are a huge district. You have the resources available.
We do.
More than other schools. We have a drive full of lessons and the time and work that goes into it. It's like, filling the platter for you. You just got to be able to ask the questions. We never want to throw a teacher into the woods teaching something they're not comfortable with. We want them to feel comfortable. We want them to feel supported and have the resources that they need. And I think relationships are important. So working with teachers has been a benefit in being able to listen to their fears or what they're scared of, or even, I know they say sometimes this is a stupid question. It's not a stupid question. We're here to help you. So, and that builds understanding. So, and it's to help teachers feel comfortable enough to where that they're more comfortable teaching the lessons standalone.
Thank you very much. And thanks for your patience, board, with my questions. And thank you to all your teachers. My nephew has taught me some Lakota words from going to South Park, and my daughter has corrected me in I used costume instead of regalia, and she very forcefully corrected me, and I've never done it again. So I was so proud of her and proud of the district for teaching an old person who grew up here to be better.
Right, Mr. Swan.
Okay. Sorry, Kristen. I wrote down like the number of questions I have. I want to say, Opila, for coming tonight. Thank you. One of the things that I've always been, when I've been involved with the Lakota language and pushing this forward, that's one of the questions that we always asked was, which orthography are we using? Multiple. So
one thing we always teach, because at the elementary level, we have gotten into teaching elementary students how to read in Lakota. But one thing is we try to use multiple orthographies, multiple ways of writing. Lakota language is actually one of the most studied languages in the world. We have about just about over 20 official ways to actually write our language. And so we're one of the most documented as well. So, but one thing we do want to teach is a lot of times it comes down to encourage them to speak the language rather than write the language. And so I know here at the elementary level, we try to get more to just phonetic writing, and which is probably one of the safest way for them to be able to write the words out. Otherwise, we do out of all the common orthographies, the nasal N, over at General Beto, we call it the Lakota N, but it's like the silent N and the ing. And so we, it looks like an N with a tail. So that's probably like the major one that we, that's for sure across the same. But yeah, we try to use multiple ones, and I know all the way up, you know, we, there's many resources that we do have. And so with those resources and those different books, we just keep in mind that we have to, as much as we want to focus on one, we do have to kind of pull from all multiple writing systems.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I add on real quick? So just a quick story, this happened like 2 days ago, but you know, I was telling the students, I said, oh, like, you know, Daiwa Chianke, you know, saying, and then one of them was, Tui, can we do the Lakota alphabet? I said, sure, which I haven't done in like to January. So I was like, oh, I got to do the review. But they remembered, you know, they started doing it. I said, okay, so what does that mean when you have we have the alphabet up in the wall? I said, what does that mean when there's a little check mark on top of the S, the G, the H, and the N, and then there's a Z? What does that mean? And so, you know, I taught this beginner school year. So one of the kids, one of the fourth graders, shockingly, he, you know, I can't believe he remembered, but he was like, it's a Lakota alphabet, or it's a Lakota phonic. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, when there's a V, a little V above the Z, it's a ja. I said, oh, okay. I said, so give me a word that starts with a ja, ends with a ja. He's like, oh, ja. I said, okay, so clap it. So we'll clap it or spell it. And so that was just a cool story that when we're talking about phonics, you know, sharing, talking to a reading literacy at Knollwood. I was telling her about how what we were doing, and she's like, well, what you're doing is phonics. What you're doing, and it just came easy for the kids how they understood it. And so kind of like the statistics of the PowerPoint, you know, when they're learning Lakota, they're being confident in who they are, and it's just coming easy for them. And so, yeah, we do pull multiple sources. What's already made, we like to take advantage of that and use what we can. And like there's Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota. And so, yeah.
I know you all came in at different times. How many staff members?
This is it for Lakota language teachers.
Also, I just to Marie, that lessons data, that is awesome. And I just wanted to kind of emphasize, you know, you use data to drive instruction a lot of times. And, you know, sometimes when you look at the lessons and you see what's being used and what's most popular, that kind of represents sometimes when you're teaching a different language, the level of comfort that they have. So, you know, I mean, it's not like it's an overused thing. Any good instruction, any instruction in Lakota is good. So the part about this is I think that data would have really added to the presentation, you know, because that way you could see where teachers learn from other teachers as well, you know. So if they see a level of comfort in one particular lesson, they're more apt to try that versus trying something brand new that's off the road, you know, and kind of four-wheeling with Lakota, as you would. So that as we have experienced levels of uncomfortability, so have our teachers teaching Lakota, you know, it's new. It is. It's not been in my education. It's not been in recent education. So those types of things are very useful. So I know that one concept has really been out there about Lakota, and this has been part of the South Dakota Indian Education Association conversations for years. And I know Junior Belleon, our former Indian Ed director here, had always talked about it. And one concept has always been, you know, we always learn about animals, we always learn about numbers, we learn about colors. And one of our biggest complaints is always, you know, we're watching movies, you know, and you know, having been an administrator at a Native school, I think it was one of those things where they would always say, I think this is the fourth time this year I've watched it, Dances with the Wolves. And so those are kind of that's the concept. But I'm really happy to see that we've got a pacing guide. I'm really happy to see that we've got data for the information that we're using, you know, in Lakota language in our district, because it's been a long time coming, and I appreciate all of your hard work. I want to end with kind of an apology. I haven't been out as much. I haven't been out as much as I should as a board member, and I haven't met all of you. I know some of you from your performances at Wachipi's. I didn't even see Maverick come in, just saying. I believe, so thank you for your hard work, and thank you for all your time, and great presentation.
All right, Mrs. Urban.
I think most of my questions have been answered because I was mostly curious about what was mandated or what wasn't. And this might be really ignorant, but was the pacing guide, was that just created this year, or has that been in place?
That is a great question. I wanted to add that earlier too. So for the seal of biliteracy, this would be new for our district, for Lakota, for Rapid City Area School District. This is huge. It is not possible without this team. They've worked all year putting this pacing guide together, and it's never been done before. So we pulled from many different resources, and thank you to Lindsay Frankenfeld for guiding us along the way on this journey, and also our ELL team. I have to give them a shout out because they were working on this the same time we were, and we were there to support one another. So this will be the first time using this pacing guide, testing it out. Yes, it'll change over time to fit the needs of our students, but be able to provide the seal of biliteracy is next level. And I am so happy to work with these individuals behind me. I've known them for years. They are my family. I will do anything for them. So thank you so much, team, for doing this with me this year. It's been an honor, as always, to work alongside you.
Thank you. And I guess I would just say, it does seem like it would be fairly easy to incorporate these in all the different grade levels and lessons, especially just how many resources you guys have all put together. So I think that's worth considering for sure. And I'm just blown away. I grew up in Rapid City too, and I just think, man, how far we've come since I was a kid. And just these are really interesting and great lessons, and I'm just glad that they're available to everyone. So thank you.
All right, Ms. Stephenson.
I had a follow-up question. I wasn't quite aware that this allowed us to offer the seal of biliteracy in Lakota language. So bravo, I think that's super cool. What language or what level, like, does it go up to Lakota 4 in high school, or how's that? To look, and then after that, did they take a test then to get the seal?
Yes, so the seal for any type of language would be scoring proficiency. So these pacing guides would help for us to be able to administer the test to see are they proficient or not. That would help with the seal of biliteracy.
So could we expect the first students to come up in a couple of years with a seal, or is anybody on track earlier than that?
We have not tracked it yet. This would be our second year. I know Bobby Joe Donovan is really working on the seal of biliteracy. So we can do some follow-ups at the next school year. So it would be any student who scores proficient in English, and if they're taking a dual language, and score proficiency in the other one. So we can track through that and see kind of where are our kiddos that are proficient in English already. and to see are they in any type of dual language, because this is new, and maybe kiddos don't know.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I just wanted to say, because I am gonna leave the board meeting early and we're having the board retreat planning, I don't know that I necessarily want to throw this out as something, but I just wanted to ask board leadership and Dr. Thompson to think about the options that we have to help get the OSEU implemented in more broadly across the district. I don't have any idea what the steps would be, but wanted to make that request.
Okay, thank you very much that was an excellent, very informative report. I think I'm safe in saying that you have the board's support, and as Ms. Stephenson said, we are having our retreat and conversations about policies and what we can do to even increase the work and help support you in the work that you do is certainly worth the conversation. So thank you again for your hard work. All right, next on the agenda, which is buried between, let's see, oh, it's only been an hour. All right, pacing guide presentation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, first of all, good evening. We're going to, I'll be introducing our EL team here pretty soon. But, you know, as I started to transition into my new role back in February, when I was informed that I'd be working with the EL Title III program, I reached out to, well, actually, Lindsay Frankenfeld reached out to me and said, hey, our team has been doing a lot of work, you know, with our ELL pacing guide along with our Lakota language. And please come out. Let's have a chance to overview or take a look at it, see the work that we're doing. And as soon as I sat down with Lindsay, she was reviewing all of the pacing guides and just really proud of what both teams have done throughout this past year. So that was a great success for the district. So collaborating, because both Kit and myself, we had the opportunity to go out there at our last PLC Friday. And I tell you what, just two really fun groups, and they were just excited. They are very passionate about the programs that they work with, and I continue to learn a lot about both programs, Title III especially, and my hat's off to them. I know a lot of our Lakota language warriors had left, but you know, just great job. I really appreciate working with everybody here. So as I've said, you know, I'm working with Title III program, and I'm continuing to learn more about Title III. And that's why I relied quite a bit on the team here with the individuals I'm about to introduce here. So as I say your name, I'm just going to ask you to stand up if you would, our EL team. But just like to introduce them, I have Solomon Smith right here. He'll be presenting here in a few seconds, along with Shelby Bolden. Rachel Applegren, who is a coordinator, she's not here tonight, but our other coordinator, Jamie Nunez, is here. Cynthia Ross is a paraprofessional within the program. She's not here this evening, but she let us know that she is very appreciative as well about having the opportunity to present the work that Title III has been doing. But I also like to introduce Carrie Fisher, Odalis Hibner, and as well as Albert Rutherford back here. Okay, so all of them, like I said, they're going to be, they do a great job with the work that they're doing. But before beginning the presentation, I'd like to also provide thank you to Lindsay as well for her work. But just a brief overview of Title III. So as I shared with you, I'm learning about the program. So I thought it was important for me to share this information with you if you were not too familiar with Title III and the EL program. But Title III is a federal program under the Every Student Succeeds Act that supports English language acquisition for students identified as English learners. Rapid City Area School participates in the South Dakota statewide Title III Consortium, which includes 114 districts across the state. The consortium provides member districts with professional development, instructional coaching, consulting services, technical assistance, and opportunities for educators to learn more about English learner endorsements. And that's where we get Lindsay's support. It is important to note that Title III funds are supplemental and cannot replace required instructional services. Required English learner instruction must be funded through our general fund, state and local dollars, but Title III instead supports additional services such as professional development, family engagement, supplemental instructional supports, newcomer programming, tutoring, and language acquisition resources. So that's what our team does on a daily basis. So we transition into the presentation, Sal and Shelby will share the work that the team has been working on throughout the past year as they have completed their EL pacing guides through the PLC collaboration. So I'll ask Sal and Shelby to come on up. But also I'd just like to, the EL team, along with myself, we'd like to thank the Board of Education for this opportunity, along with Dr. Thompson, to present the work that they've completed. So I'll turn it over to Sal and Shelby. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you behind me, kid.
Well, I'm your tech support.
While you're pulling that up, I just wanted to let you all know I'm going to be leaving the presentation fairly soon to go to a orchestra concert, so I will watch it tomorrow. And you won't get as many questions.
Just taking a bit. You guys know how to do that, right? Yeah. 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 It's just taking a little bit. Here we go. Yeah, there you go.
Hello, board. I'm Shelby Bowden. I'm going to do the first half here. Here's a little overview of our team. We have 2 program coordinators, 5 teachers, and then 2 pair positions. Only one of them is currently filled. We have around 200 students that speak over 23 languages. About 60% of those second language speakers are Spanish home language speakers at around 17 schools in the district. We have a very wide range of proficiency levels from students who are absolutely new to the country and have no English to kiddos who are advanced.
Shelby?
Yeah.
Can I ask you to step forward closer to the perfect?
Can you hear me?
Thank
But I have a tiny voice,
Yeah,
sorry.
And it's being recorded. So thank you.
We regularly meet with about 90 of those high needs students, and then we have 120 intermediate to advanced students that get a little more sporadic support throughout their academic career. Here's a little graphic we made that shows our program has about doubled in size in the last 9 years. Since the 17-18 school year, we're about twice as big as we were, and we have been constantly growing. I know I screened 45 new students at the beginning of the year, and we get them all throughout the year. Here, we're looking at where our students are coming from. The grand majority of our kids are born in the United States to families who speak other languages. But then we follow that with Mexico, Vietnam, the Philippines. We've got a lot of kids from all over the world. And many of our families are moving here for careers in healthcare, South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. Maybe they already have family here or are looking for careers in the restaurant and service industry. And then we also have families who are seeking asylum. This shows some of the 23 languages at Rapid City area schools, Spanish being the most spoken, but then we follow that with Vietnamese, Filipino, Turkish, and some of those other languages that we only have a few kiddos that speak. This is a day in the life of an EL specialist in the district. Our elementary teachers and paraeducator typically travel between 3 to 4 buildings a day to provide services to students. Currently, we have no specific curriculum, so we're relying on supplemental supports like Rosetta Stone, IXL, and lessons that we make ourselves. And then the remainder of the day is spent on parent and teacher communication, supporting teachers with their students, and our required paperwork. In middle school, she usually begins her day at her home base school, which is currently East, and then travels to 2 to 3 schools per day as well. And then she goes on and works on those other duties, the plannings, the meetings, and teacher and parent communication. And then our high school guys begin their day with an English newcomer or sheltered ELA class, then do core class push in and pull out for their students, and go on to those other duties that we are all working on. We had a few goals for this year with our pacing guide. We would like to be more consistent with our construction and to be connected across themes. We want to reduce some of that planning time to increase our efficiency because many of us are traveling between buildings. So it's difficult to fit in the planning for these lessons and the travel time and still fully supporting our students. And we were creating a K-12 beginner through advanced level pacing guide to be applicable to all of our students across the district. We wanted to talk a little bit about a pacing guide for the curriculum because like I said, we don't have a set curriculum for English learners right now. Our pacing guide aims to integrate the languages of science, math, social studies, and language arts into manageable lessons for our EL specialists who are traveling throughout their day, with specific language goals like idioms, parts of speech, and different vocabulary per unit. Currently, we don't have a specific curriculum in the district. Our EL specialists are using, like I said, those supplemental curriculums to try to help our students meet their goals. Now I'll pass it on to Saul.
Thank you, Shelby. Yeah, my name's Saul Smith, and I'm gonna share with you the second half of our presentation here. I am starting with, this is the pacing guide that we put together over the course of this year. It starts at the beginning of the year with a social and instructional language goal unit tied into community navigation. It goes through different content and language goals across the course of the year. And yes, no, that's right. I'm sorry. Yes, no. Yep. Exactly. No, I won't pick up the mic because I know I'll probably hit the button and turn it off or something. I've done that too. Okay, I'm right here. Going to be speaking into the microphone. So this is the pacing guide that we put together for over the course of this year. Yeah, we have divided our unit pacing into 8 units, starting with community navigation, going through different content areas, and ending with a project-based learning cumulative project at the end of the year. One of the interesting and difficult parts of language acquisition instruction is that we need to support and develop the students' familiarity with all kinds of issues. And that definitely includes their content learning. So as you can see, some of our units focus on Black Hills history and science. We have units focused on world cultures, but then we also simultaneously, the focus of our instruction has to be on language goals. And so the content is a vehicle for teaching language. And it has to be a really broad spectrum of things that we're teaching, because we have some students who are coming with incredibly high level education in their own languages, in their own countries, and they are absolutely ready to start an educational career in the United States and will be moving on to higher education and all kinds of professional careers. We have other students who come from very different circumstances, and that's why we start, for example, with community navigation. There are families and students who need time to become familiar with how to navigate the basic services that are available in our schools and our community. Things like how to go to the doctor, how to interact with emergency services if you need to, how to talk to your school counselor, how to talk to your school nurse. Many of our families are here in this country looking for opportunities in the United States. And so that's why in the second semester, Unit 6, we have incorporated a unit about careers. We want to prepare students for a future where they feel prepared to apply for jobs and fill out resumes, go to job interviews, things like that. We need, while we're teaching, it's a very, very, again, like, as I said with the overlap between content and language goals, there is also another overlap between needing to introduce students to American culture and make them familiar and comfortable with their new home, while also reflecting their own cultures so that they feel that they have something to celebrate, and so that everyone, whether it's our own students or other students, can see some of the really beautiful and fascinating experiences and stories from other parts of the world. So we have, as a unit, to focus on the language of ELA, focusing on terms that students will encounter in their ELA classes, such as character, plot, theme, all of those kinds of things. We teach that the vehicle that we use is folklore, and folklore is just such a really fun, really universal aspect of human life where we're able to use that unit to introduce stories from the United States, stories from other cultures, stories from historical contexts. We can teach mythology, or we can teach modern urban legends, and we're able to simultaneously celebrate cultures from around the world that our students are bringing to this community, and at the same time introduce American culture to these students. We have some students who are not familiar with technology, and honestly, technology is changing so rapidly that this is almost universal. It's really important that we take the time to explicitly teach what is available to students to help them navigate their school career or the outside world. For our students, we're really especially looking at translation methods, but AI is just changing everything for all students and adults everywhere. We have to take the time for some of our students to just teach them basic things, how to type, how to log into an account. And in that, we are able to incorporate themes like language goals, like the language of science, in terms of talking about data and talking about computer science, artificial intelligence, things like that. Immigration can be a very difficult experience, regardless of what background you come from and how prepared you are for school. It's pretty universal for us to see our students at some point in the year struggle with their own mental health. It can feel deeply isolating. And it is really, really normal for any person who has moved to a new home to feel really homesick at some point. And so to help engage with that and support them through that, we've decided to include a unit about mental health. But then with that, talking on our language goals, we can use that unit to talk about scientific terms like psychology, but then language from psychology, personality, mental illness, things like that. At the same time, that is a great unit to talk about ELA language having to do with character motivations, because you are dealing with emotions, thoughts, and the human condition. So my point is that this is a very complex task, and this team worked really hard and was able to cross a lot of different goals and wires together to put something to come up with a plan that is really cohesive. And it's a great plan for our students and for us going forward. Here's
We have a question for you.
So if you get a student in November,
Mhm.
have they missed, like, that first unit seems really integral. So you have
Yeah.
to go back and teach those to those kids, or how do you sort of catch them up on some of those really, what seems like basic?
Yeah, that is a major challenge that we deal with. For teachers who travel, that might be and work individually with students, that is maybe a little bit easier of a thing to navigate. For those of us who are working with larger groups of students, like so at the high school level, working in a classroom, that can be challenging, and oftentimes that has to happen outside of class because the class is moving at a certain pace. And if the student needs help with something that is not the current thing being taught, that's extra time that we have to spend with that student to work through these topics. Yeah, having students come and go is another level of challenge that we face. It's a really adds another complexity to what we do. Any further?
I didn't realize, I guess, that you guys had classes where they were all in. I always just thought of it as an individual. You're working with all those kids, but I suppose as your numbers get bigger, that's more and more necessary. So how do you decide which schools get like an entire class?
Yeah,
versus intro?
so we have tried several different methods over the years, and I won't like go into the total history of that, but basically there are certain schools. Currently it is Central High School, and then over on the east side you have Valley View East Middle School. They have large numbers of English learners. A lot of the students there are recent immigrants, and we try as hard as we can to base what we're doing, how much time we spend with the students, on guidance that is published. In some states, it's really strong guidance from that state's Department of Education. In South Dakota's case, it is a recommendation from the Title III Consortium about how many hours of service per day a student at a different level needs. And so basically just doing a math game of looking at how many teachers we have, how many students we have. There are certain schools where we can't really even approach that number unless we put students in a classroom together. Yeah, so just as a little bit of a deeper dive here on the work that we're doing this year, we have an example of our second unit for the year, folklore. Lindsay Frankenfeld introduced us to this really fun idea of a driving question, and I think we have a good one for this one, and it's, what do stories say about the people who tell them? Asking students to think about, how does the stories that you tell about yourself or tell about other people, how does that reflect who you are? In this lesson, we are hoping next year when this is implemented to anchor what we teach to different kinds of folk tales, myths, legends, or even urban legends from around the world, including the United States, including countries where our students come from. And using scaffolding strategies to make these lessons or these stories accessible to students regardless of their own language background, make it accessible to them in English. Scaffolds that we as a team really find effective are sentence frames, pictures, model texts. We would use a gradual release instructional method where the teacher begins by modeling the appropriate skill. The students and the teacher co-create something, and eventually the students will demonstrate the ability to create their own story. The production of language, writing and speaking, is in the test that we apply to our students. The production of language is considered very important. And so we want to have the end goal being students creating their own story rather than just reading or just listening to a story. Writing and speaking are key to becoming fluent in a language. We have outcomes for all students who go through this lesson. They should be able to create their own folktale or legend, et cetera, depending on their grade level and the text that the teacher chose. But specifically, for each proficiency level, for our beginner students, we want them to just, as a language goal, we just want them to be able to recognize things in a story such as characters, details. As they become more intermediate, more proficient in English, they should be able to summarize the plot, identify the setting, and begin to discuss some of the symbolism that you can see in a folktale or a myth or a story. And advanced students should be able to analyze the themes and the symbols of a story and begin to be able to understand the cultural context. Going back to the driving question, what does this story say about the people who told it originally? So as I said, this has been a very complicated piece of work for us, actually. So we're really proud that we have a full year proficiency guide that is leveled by proficiency. Every student at a different fluency level of English needs different things. And so with each unit, we have lists of vocabulary and grammatical structures that we want students at each proficiency level to master. Again, we're really proud of having incorporated local Black Hills culture and history, culture from the United States, and also celebrating the cultures that we see in our district. Yep, it is every lesson tied to specific vocabulary and grammar, often being things that are left out of, the mainstream instruction. If you look at a vocab list for a third grade textbook, those vocabulary words are not the words that the EL students really struggle with to understand the text. The words that the EL students are struggling with are words that we wouldn't even think to define, right? That could be words like because, therefore, so, words that are honestly hard for native speakers to explain what they mean because you just use them naturally. You don't even think about it. With this pacing guide, we're hoping that we can just really build and maintain consistent communication with our families, connecting them with community resources, keeping them informed of their rights in the school district, and engage them in their students' learning. So every student has different learning styles, and we would really like to differentiate not just by proficiency, but by different learning styles. As of right now, we have the schedule of topics. We have the grammar and the vocabulary that we would like to teach, but we want a list of specific anchor texts that will allow us to really dive deep and make sure that we're picking the best text to teach the grammar that we want to teach. And we're picking the best text to connect with our students. For the time being, we started this project working sort of from the position that we were imagining that we're working with secondary students, because those are some of the students who have faced the biggest challenge. If you come to this country as a 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grader, and you don't speak English or you don't speak it very well, you face a really serious barrier that can be hard to overcome. So we started from the assumption that it would be easiest for us to plan something out and maybe most time effective for us to plan something out for those students. Now, it would be really great. The other dimension to build out is making sure that our lesson plans are not just differentiated by proficiency level, but differentiated by grade level, so that we can be really specific about what a beginner in high school needs to learn versus what a beginner in middle school needs to learn, or a beginner in 3 through 5, or a beginner in K2. Those are all different situations. We the district uses, the state uses a yearly standardized assessment called WIDA Access. All of our students take it every year. We get those reports, we look at the data, we share it with the families of our students. We use that information to place our students where they categorize them according to intermediate, beginner, advanced, wherever they fall. However, we believe that we can tie to each of these units an assessment that is much more specific, that does not just give you a broad score that says, in speaking, the student's proficiency level is a 3. We believe that we can create assessments that tell teachers and students and families, but teachers, what words and what phrases in each unit the students don't know yet. And from there, that just makes everyone's job much easier, because we know what every single student needs to learn, and we could administer those throughout the year. That's, those are things that we think going forward will make this pacing guide more useful and more helpful to all of our students. Yeah. As I said, we have some appropriate questions about the appropriateness of the texts and the vocabs and the proficiency levels, that how those will be different for students at different grade levels. Also, the timing of the units across the year. As you mentioned, if a student comes in mid-year, that can pose another challenge for us. Also, we administer the WIDA test. We also help with SBAC testing during K through 8, and at the high school level, we are administering the ACT test and the pre-ACT test with our students. So that adds one more thing that we have to do. And so some of these units, that could change the timing of when we're teaching the units. Our WIDA ELD standards are really broad and multidimensional. As I said, the test score that the students get at the end of the year will just be like in writing or in speaking, your number is a 3 or it's a 4 or it's a 2. That makes it difficult for us to interpret. And so our question is, how can we still build those broad skills, but tie it into more measurable, clear goals along the way? Yeah. Just to finish up, we have 2 slides of pictures here of our students, and not to go into any personal detail about any one of them, but let's just say that there are students who are coming to this district with incredible stories, and we don't see ourselves as like helping these students or supporting these students. I see these students as an asset, and I want to celebrate that, and I want to help the other students around them learn and appreciate from the experiences that some of these people are bringing to our community. And we also want to help these students incorporate into the community and start to build their own American story, their own American identity. We have students from all kinds of backgrounds, from really difficult situations all the way to students who have been here for less than a year and they're getting into the National Honor Society. We have students who are not yet fully proficient in English, but they have worked so hard that they are graduating with honors because their GPA is quite high. For some of the families that we work with, the school district is really, it's the first, and in a few situations, it's one of the only places where they're really able to feel comfortable connecting with the local society and with American people. And so this program, something to be really proud of, something that we all feel really proud of, is like, this is a place where families from all over the world can come and they feel welcome and they are able to find guidance and success as they start their lives in the United States. With that, we're going to turn it over to questions.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Urban.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited about the program too. And I was wondering, and maybe you already took the slide off, but that slide that showed, year by year since 2017-18, how the program has grown. I didn't look at the last couple years, but with the massive immigration changes that have happened, has that impacted the program?
Yeah.
Or just students in general?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit, again, without being specific to any person. I would say that, yeah, during the previous administration, even here in Rapid City, it was really unprecedented. There was days when families were just walking in, it felt like constantly, families who spoke no English at all. And these are families who are coming from really challenging situations in life. Families who have been the victims of violence or government abuse in their home countries. Families with students who've had massive gaps in the education of their children. A few years ago was the first time that I met high schoolers, right? Like almost adults who could not read or write. They could only write like maybe their name, right? And that was really, really a different situation to have to deal with in Rapid City. That's not a familiar situation that educators around here are comfortable dealing with. Part of the challenge of our program is that in South Dakota, at least in Western South Dakota, that kind of direct immigration is not something that people are very familiar with. And so we end up having to do a lot of direct support of our students in their classrooms, because it can just feel overwhelming for the students and overwhelming for the teachers to be faced with someone who doesn't speak any English and maybe has not sat in a classroom in many, many years. In the last year, we have seen some real changes in our student population. We've had a lot of families leave the country, faced with different situations that can be really scary and really discouraging for them. We do our best to just provide a welcoming and safe environment for all of them. We want to be a place where they feel that they can come and focus on learning and focus on their own education and the reasons why they came to this country, not a place where they are excluded or targeted or they feel uncomfortable in some way.
Ms. Clapton.
So I feel like this is a kind of complex, thank you guys. It is really hard to work full day and then sit in here and present. So we really appreciate you. We know it's hard, especially when it's gorgeous outside. But so I noticed kind of a theme was, that both the assessments and curriculum aren't like super standardized. Is there a way for this board to support you? Like in my mind, your work would be easier if there was a little more standardization, but I don't know, like if that's a bottom down, top up. I don't know what I don't know, I guess is what I'm saying. So like, how do we as a board like support or help you standardize? Because your job is really, really hard already. And I feel like it being scattered doesn't help. So is there a way as a board we can do that? Or is that a bottom down thing? I'm not sure.
Well, I don't want to speak out of turn, and I think each person has some really good ideas here. It looks like Mr. Conroy is about to take.
That's just going to come up. One of the areas that we're focusing on as again, transitioning in the role and just learning more about the EL program. We're kind of starting from the get-go again. We're starting to build our foundation and where those specific needs are, and we're doing that as a collaborative effort. So I appreciate the question and where the support could come from the board. But as you shared, as Sal and the team has shared, there's a lot of information here. There's a lot of different pieces and how we can bring it in to best support our students that are coming into our district from the outside. So there's a lot of different areas that we need to look at, but we're going to continue to build that as we move forward. And obviously any support that you can provide and suggestions that you have is going to assist us with that. We continue to build with everyone has a different background, either coming in from different school districts, different states and so on. So we're bringing all of that information and then we're just building the program up, okay, as to where we're currently at.
Yeah. And then my other just thought, and we got the wonderful gift that Dr. Thompson got the book from the student who came to this district. I wonder, because all of you have so much spare time, sarcasm intended in that statement. I don't know if you guys saw it or saw the presentation, but the ELL student from, was it the 80s or 90s?
Oh, yeah.
I think it would be cool, like if we could get copies for you guys. It was just, it's so powerful to see that, 30 years later, the impact that this district and ELL had on that family and that student. So I would love to be able to get some copies for you guys, because I think it'd be cool.
All right, Dr. Thompson.
I was trying to write that down so I didn't forget, but
I really just wanted to applaud both our Lakota language teachers and our English language learner teachers, not only for the incredible work that you do with our students, but the work that you're doing with one another to really elevate your own expectations and ensure that you're continuing to increase your expectations and with the pacing guides and all of that. As well as the work that I know that you're doing with other content teachers to help them to ensure that they're incorporating those skills and those concepts in their classrooms and that they're doing the best that they can for your students. So it's a lot and it's very important work. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ms. Urban.
So thank you for the pacing guide, because it seems like an incredible amount of work. And it's very comprehensive. So thank you for that. And then just lastly, not to be political, but I am a politician, so I feel like I can be, but I really appreciate what you're doing to support all of these students that are, I'm sure, have been on quite the roller coaster, a number of them over the last couple of years. So thank you for being that safe place.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a challenge part of our job.
About why there's no curriculum, there's just none across the country, or what?
So let me explain what we have here, right? We have written out a pacing guide. We have considered and we have attempted to use different curriculums. The curriculums, for example, a few years ago, and well, actually until this year, it's finally being fully cut off, right? But elementary school uses Wonders as their reading literacy curriculum. They had a English language, an ELL component to that. After we attempted to use it, attempted to provide it to the mainstream teachers, what we found is that it was really targeted for only a small segment of our students. It was perhaps what more advanced ELs would need. It was really not, it wasn't designed to serve really, really, really new speakers of English. And so when what we were trying to do is create a list of language goals. That's grammar, structures, and vocabulary in different content areas that can be introduced to students at different points in their journey towards fluency that can work with any curriculum, because we ideally are supporting these students in their mainstream classes. And so we need to be flexible with whatever curriculum happens to be used in their science class, their English class, their social studies class. We have resources. We use Rosetta Stone for for some really, really new speakers of English. We have access to IXL, which is the same program that is used in special education for some reading and science teaching or math. Those, to my understanding, do not qualify as curriculum. Those are resources. But maybe someone could speak more clearly about that.
I'd just like to add, the reason we've struggled with curriculum really hard is that a lot of them are based on being able to see these students 5 days a week.
Okay.
And there are so many students and so few of us that we really get maybe 2 or 3 30-minute sessions in a week with a student. So we've been trying to make something that fits in that time constraint while also helping our students get to those language goals.
All right, because I just thought it was kind of strange out of the country and the world that nobody's figured out this section of education to make a curriculum. But I understand that our situation is so unique that it kind of doesn't fit into any one thing. So
Right.
Thank you for that.
So in the presentation as well, they identified 23 different languages. So now imagine pulling 23 different languages at different levels of proficiency. So I know Director Jen Roberts gave a presentation on the science of reading. The science of reading really supports English language learning because it's how the brain functions. English English language has so many nuances and standards that are not in other languages. For example, lasagna. What happened to the G? And so getting that understanding of how our phonemes and our morphemes and our phonics all are. So the going to the science of reading will absolutely support our ELL teachers.
All right, thank you. That's kind of interesting that, and it's good to know that. So, yeah, thank you, as Dr. Thompson said, for all the hard work that you do to help this niche of our community and of our district and these individual families. Thank you. All right.
Thank you for the opportunity. Good job, guys.
All righty then. Do you all need a break or just wanna? All right. Oh. Okay, on to our board retreat agenda. I am highly excited about this process because I feel that it's doing more of the work that a board is really supposed to be doing. And quite frankly, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, and when I first got on the board, I coined the phrase about the board going upstairs and doing what we're supposed to do instead of coming downstairs into the kitchen and messing with the cook. But this type of work and this agenda really speaks to the job of a board. This agenda was constructed by board members that sent me input, and those of you that did send input, you will see many of your key points in this agenda. Somebody jokingly said that it's very aggressive agenda and it might take us to midnight. That is true and not true. I will do, I think I'm pretty good at it, at being a facilitator. And with any agenda, if there's an area that goes longer because we talk about it, obviously there's some things at the end of the agenda that will fall off. I know based on that, the agenda is set up based on the most popular statements. So obviously, team building was important for us. Second is the bond, literacy and community partnerships, and you see board goal priorities, legislative priorities, and as you can see, they're less, as it gets through the agenda, they're less significant that if by chance we don't get to it, it's not going to be the end of the world. I'm more excited by the fact that this is the first time that I've been on the board that we've even attempted to do this type of 30,000 foot level work. And so whatever we get through, whatever we do is fine. Again, if there's something in each category, I think I would probably like to keep the categories. Again, there's some redundancy in the individual bullet statements that can be taken out and edited if two are the same. But for the most part, I think it's well thought of. It's includes everything that everybody said. Some of the timeframes, again, may or may not work. I want to make sure that the team building was an hour and a half. The bond strategy is an hour. That may or may not be enough. But again, as we go through the agenda, some things may be left off. Even on that day, it will be adjustable. But I think this is a great guideline. It keeps us on track. And yeah. Oh, one thing that I will add is that we will have probably at the end, a quick discussion about choosing, or at least a candidate that we will officially choose in July, but at least talk about our ASBSD representative and if there's any candidates for that or however we.
You need to know that for the resolution for that.
Yeah, okay, so we'll talk about that. I'll add that probably at the end.
Well, it's basically the way we run it currently, it's listed as a committee. So it falls under committee assignments. Because the way it's currently listed is it's ASBC, just like Katie's military rep is listed as a committee, even though it's only one person. And like the PAC person, we have several things that are one person, but they're listed on committees. So I think I'm just saying it would really already be there. Like.
But this, we need to know
Yeah.
before we.
Right, I
Yeah,
disagree, but I know, but I'm saying like, the way we have run it up until now, not saying it has to stay that way, but that it's been listed on the committee, so when we choose that person, like, I hear, like, I know we have to do it, it has to be part of the annual meeting, like, I understand that. But it's always been a committee, like, who wants to do this, and then you're the ASBSC, just like I said, just like Katie's military slot is a committee, because that's just another commitment of time. And so, and the one person who represents the PAC, so I just think it'll fall under that conversation in the committee assignments.
Okay, not to have an argument, I disagree because when I was on, the board had a discussion and a vote that I would do it. When you came on, we had a discussion and a vote that you would do it. A committee is an assignment by the board president, and this is not an assignment by the board president. It's an agreement with the board to choose one of us to represent in the state level. So it's really, I didn't know, maybe I'll look at it again, and maybe after the choice, it can be a committee, but it's not a committee chosen by the president. It's a position voted on by the board.
That's correct. It is.
Well, I would just say, to Jamie's point, I don't remember voting on it last year, but I don't have any objection to it. I just don't
Well,
think.
because I think nobody else wanted, because there was nobody was gonna do it, so
We'll look
Jamie
that
was
up.
going, and that's probably if Jamie wants to do it, unless somebody else really wants to do it, then we'd have a vote, but if Jamie wants to do it, she'll keep doing it, so that's.
Cause I will say that logistically, the vote at annual meeting, the name is in the spot, and so we vote on all that stuff in annual meeting, we're technically voting on it, but there's 7,552 things, so we don't.
That's what I'm saying, that name is chosen, that's what Shirley is saying, that name is chosen to be voted on.
Right.
Before we have our board retreat, is that what you're saying, Shirley?
No, we're gonna talk about it at the retreat.
Before annual meeting has to be on
Yeah.
the July 7th agenda has to be on.
Which makes sense. I mean, we're all together and it takes 30 seconds. Again, especially if either Jamie wants to do it or she doesn't do it, then we have to volunteer somebody else. So that'll be added to this. Bring your computer. When we get to board evaluation, we'll have to do that. And I wrote down, I don't think it can fit on this discussion, but a type of discussion that we would have is, the Lakota language policy and how does the board feel about it being, mandatory, or how we feel about it. And so again, those are the type of discussions that happen in the retreat, and for the board to form direction and policy and how we feel about it. So again, I don't know, it's probably a longer discussion than I would want to have unless we cut off some, technology and student support, but there are also some good things on there. Board operations and development, some things at the end, if you all would prefer to have that discussion. Again, this is your agenda and your discussion.
Where did board apparel come up? Is that like matching uniforms or what is it? What?
I think that concept was just the board having a wardrobe identity, I guess I would say. And again, it's just a simple discussion on, do y'all want to get
And
matching
Lisa was
t-shirts?
Saying, so when we go to national, like tons of the boards have like, some have football jerseys, some have, but like when we're talking about, we're at the Bond, or we go to Festival of Bands, or we go to the Wachipi, or we go to like, that identifies like, hey, a board member's here, and it's like pretty obvious. And so just checked about, would we wanna do polos? Would we wanna do nothing? It could be that people don't like that and don't wanna do that. Totally fine as well. But I just, the last two conferences, I'm like, oh, it's very like unified looking when they, I'm like, oh, that's good.
That's like all of us shaving our heads or something like that, some
No,
type of unity. No? Okay.
We could all shave our heads. I'm
Yeah.
up for that, but
All right, comments, suggestions, edits? Okay. Maddie, what I would like, I will go through, edit some maybe the bullet points that are redundant. And what I would like for this actual agenda to be posted, so you would have call to order, pledge of allegiance, proposed agenda, open forum, board response to open forum, and then this agenda with the time. I so am excited about, it gives clarity of what we're doing, when, what we're talking about. So, we've been accused of being an Illuminati society and talking about, but this will, openly say what time we're talking about what, when we're taking lunch and all that different stuff. Oh, you can.
That's good. I have two questions.
Okay, sure.
First of all, the 8:15 to 9:45, is that what you want run by Think 3D, or is that?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
very
thank you
good.
for saying that.
Okay.
I also have a meeting with the representative, a Zoom meeting at 12 noon. If anybody else is interested in being on that, please let me know. And again, that is,
That's tomorrow.
yes. What do they do? What can you do for us type of thing, and kind of giving him direction and what we're wanting, and kind of having that.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, just let me know. It just takes an email and you can be added to the Zoom, I think it is.
Okay. And then my second question was whether you wanted any members of DDL to be present for any portions of this agenda.
There was a section about behaviors, but we just had under technology, AI, and student supports at 145, student behavior updates and intervention strategies.
I was actually gonna mention that it feels like that's more in the DDL presentation and something.
Yeah.
We could do that.
I feel like that needs to.
I agree.
Too, cause like this is supposed to be us thing, not, and I don't think there's any way to do that without having like DDL there to present at one.
Okay,
short
that-
version somewhere.
That's fine. I would like though, and Dr. Thompson, you could do this, and I think I put on this staff burnout discussion, and just even a general, not a presentation, but just your thoughts. I guess mainly what are we doing and what could we do? Is there anything that we could do more? It might be that we're doing the best in the country. But this just came out of a session that I was in. And obviously it's important. It's the biggest issue that we have with teacher retention. And so just a discussion on, where you think we're going and what we're doing.
Koi will be there, right? I think that would be helpful, especially as we're having the bond and
That's
the
what I was
bond.
gonna ask. I feel like when we talk, like, we have our own ideas, but like administration has, like, there's already like lots of discussion going on. I feel like we could accidentally diverge if we don't know like what they're, and I don't mean to say we, but I mean, I feel like we could have our own ideas and all this stuff going on, and then it's like, oh, but there's already direction.
Right.
Yeah, I think Coy and Bobby and possibly Jade should be a part of that discussion, because
that's-
we've been meeting weekly.
I do too. And then I would think that Koi actually, are you gonna be there the whole day, Dr. Thompson?
I believe so, yes.
And then I think Koi should be as well.
And just for my clarity, why?
Because he is at the same level as Dr. Thompson.
yes.
No, I'm processing Katie's statement. Okay, all right, okay, not a hill. He can be here, if he's able to be here.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, there's lots of like the legislative priorities. He's pretty involved in that this year. I just think it'd be helpful.
I think so.
Okay, I guess I'll make the invitation.
Do you need, so on the 145, technology, AI, do we feel like we need Jen Roberts or Corey or Shane Daniels? I mean, are you gonna have a lot of questions in that area? Or were you expecting a presentation?
No.
I know that Christine had asked if we could do a study session in the fall on AI and technology.
Yeah, and you told us there's some work being done that Dr.
Work this summer, yes,
Okay, so
with the
we can
team.
take that out.
Okay, okay. Fall study session, okay. So
So,
then I won't invite them. We'll plan on that being at a different time.
so is it possible if you're gonna have Coy, that you could put the items that he needs to be involved in together? So you don't hold him up?
Okay, but
I know.
I wouldn't mind him being there the whole time. To me,
I
it's
think that's
okay.
what they're saying. is
Yeah.
They want him there the whole time, so that's the invitation that'll be made.
President Carr,
Yes,
as far as the bond conversation goes.
Yes.
Can we have somebody discuss what's out of bounds for us?
yeah,
I mean, that would be a really good conversation, I guess, is what we can and can't do as a board.
correct.
Because
That would be,
there's a lot of, there were a lot of questions to me about the campaigning of it. You know, are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to put it on your website? Are you allowed to do whatever? And I myself were like, you know, I've got to go back and look at the last bond and see what's going on. I just don't want, you know, we voted 7-0, so we should all be on that same page. So whatever takes us out of bounds, I don't want to do that. I would rather stay in bounds and so that we could have the most effective use of our time. So.
correct. That will all be a part of that discussion.
I will invite Kelsey to be a part of
Yeah.
that section then as well.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right, very good.
What are you taking out? I'm sorry, what were we?
Probably, I'm probably gonna take out the 145 technology, AI and student supports and put staff burnout.
Can we add the Indian Ed conversation in there? I know, just that would be a good time filler, I think, and it would be a useful conversation.
My only hesitancy is that it's a longer than a 45-minute conversation. I think that time is, for me, I mean,
I was wondering if, like, it's all at the forefront. I was wondering if in one of our 2 June meetings, if that is a priority, like our actual regular meeting, like as that is a priority, because I agree with you. I think it could be a pretty in-depth discussion. I think it should be. And I just wonder, like, going into the next school year, if just in the next couple meetings, we pick a place and say, let's like talk about this. Maybe I'm crazy.
Well, I was thinking maybe we can at the retreat talk about a time to talk about it. Cause I almost wonder if it's something that the DDL needs to be involved in and what kind of, what is the impact, I guess? Is it something that's gonna take a lot of planning over a year or some, I mean, at least set a time to talk about it so it doesn't get lost if we can't have the whole discussion on that day.
but again, I think our role is to set a precedent. Is that something the board, as a board, that we want administration to focus on? So I think that's the second, I think the first, so I will put it on there, because it's a simple discussion of, we're not
And
We are very busy about, okay, the details. But this meeting and our role is not the details. Our role is, we want to have, as a board, we want to have a Lakota language policy. Okay, that's what our feeling is. Collectively, we make that decision. Then that decision is spoken to Dr. Thompson. Dr. Thompson, the priority of the board and our desire is to, then that's when all the work of, is it feasible, you know, all these details, that's when that happens.
So
But
then,
our work is providing,
so then could it
the
go
thought.
under goals and priorities then? Like a discussion as a goal or priority that was under there?
yeah.
Would that work?
where's that, which one?
Over here? Put it there.
Well,
like it's
15.
still- I don't know where you're gonna put this, but.
Yeah, I think I
Put it
might
under
take
there,
out,
And then the rest of that goes away.
okay,
Dr. Thompson, I think it might behoove us to probably get a conversation with Todd County as well. Just maybe see what their bumps in the road are or things like that, just so we have a topic of conversation. So,
I think it's an auto thing that when I move, it centers my face or whatever. Okay.
no.
All right, so for clarity, I'm probably gonna take out the technology, AI and student reports since that needs more people. I'll either, since that kind of was mine, I'll put staff burnout somewhere and
Lengthen time.
and then we'll add the Lakota language policy discussion. And again, as facilitator, I will make sure that we're not trying to detail the program, but is it our desire to give that direction?
And I
Okay.
would think with the quote unquote leftover time, which isn't really, but that the bond discussion, if it needs to be longer, I think will be the spot that's probably gonna be the longest.
Yeah, I was debating that, and again, it depends on, again, this is you all's agenda, you all's meeting, so however long you all want to talk about, whatever you want to talk about, is your day, so. All right, okay? All right, thank you, everyone. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Any noes? Doubt it.
Don't hear you.
All right, thank you, everyone. 2 hours, not bad.